Foul Manor by Trevor Lidke. Story 1, Open House. Chapter 1, Foul Street. Is this it? Is this really what we've been given? I knew it wouldn't be much, but this is ridiculous. Come on! You gotta spring for something better when you ask Jesse Dupovny to host a show. The grumbling went entirely unheard by the limo driver, who stared ahead as though nobody was sitting behind him. The limo was entirely still, not moving an inch. Still, the driver remained like a statue, focused on the road ahead. Out of the back stepped a tall black man in a stylish suit and a striking blue tie. His small, beady eyes stared straight ahead at the massive house standing before him. This white manor looked as though it leapt right out of the pages of a southern history book. Its tall, white pillars and elongated windows towered high above the grass below. Despite its age, the house was in relatively good shape. So old, Dupovny muttered. So old. With all due respect, sir, a voice called out, they don't really make historic southern mansions anymore. Dupovny turned around to see a camera crew approaching the house. The man who called out was carrying a lapel microphone. That's fair, said Dupovny, eyeing the microphone. Did you hear if everything— Yes, sir, the cameraman interrupted. Everything in the house has been set up. The cameras and amenities are fully operational. Excellent, Dupovny chuckled as he took the lapel microphone and put it on. And is the crew ready to go? They will be any moment, sir, the cameraman said uneasily. Any moment doesn't cut it in this business, Dupovny said sternly. I've got too much on the line to lose just because the any moment that you guys will be ready by doesn't line up with our schedule. I get that, sir, the cameraman stammered nervously. Dupovny pulled out his phone and looked at the time. 11:58. 2 minutes until they arrived. It didn't matter if the cameramen hadn't done their checks yet or not. Time was wasting. We have 2 minutes, said Dupovny. Let's start now. Now, sir? Yes, now, come on, we don't got much time. Dupovny practically pushed the cameraman towards the front of the house. As they were making their way to their positions, the cameraman got on his radio and began barking orders at his colleagues. I can't believe I'm doing this, thought Dupovny. How could someone like me, Jesse Dupovny, reduce himself to hosting some reality show? I'm supposed to be better than this. Well, they'll see that soon. They'll all see that soon. I'm about to make my mark. 2 more cameramen ran out of the house. Dupovny eyed the street sign next to it. They were on the corner of Foul Street and Romer Way. Foul Street? Sure enough, the legends were true. Good thing they were, or the show's name wouldn't make any sense at all. When Dupovny had pitched the series to the network, a friend of his had told him that he procured an old mansion in southern Louisiana which would be perfect to host the show in. According to the friend, this old mansion was on Foul Street. This opportunity, if true, was too good to pass up, hence the name of the series, Foul Manor. As the cameras focused on Dupovny, he felt the inside of his suit. Sure enough, his cue cards were there. Perfect! He himself had not actually seen the inside of the manor yet. All he knew was some of the amenities inside and who was sleeping in what room. We're on in 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, I'm Jesse Dupovny, the host of the hottest new reality show in history. Foul Manor. Well, this is the first episode, but it's gonna be a big hit. Just you wait and see. Over the next little while, you'll see these 8 18-year-olds duke it out in challenges, get in fights, fall in love, and go on all kinds of wacky adventures. Trust me, this show's gonna be kickin'. You won't want to miss a second of it. So stay tuned, folks. The fun's about to start. And cut, the cameraman exclaimed. How was that? Asked Dupovny. Good? Was it good? Should we go again? No need, sir, the cameraman replied. That was perfect. Besides, the contestants will be here any second now. I suppose so, said Dupovny. He may not have been thrilled to host a reality show, but he was hoping to make it the best show it could possibly be. Part of that was picking the perfect cast. Dupovny had spent hours upon hours combing through audition tapes and application essays to find 4 perfect guys and 4 perfect girls. Not perfect by Hollywood standards, perfect by Dupovny standards. This meant the most likely people to cause drama, trouble, or be a standout individual in either a good or bad way. Eventually, he found his people, and now they were arriving. "Let's see who we got here," Duchovny muttered. "I've learned so much about them that I feel like I know them already." A shimmering black limo pulled up behind Duchovny's parked one. "Hey, move the car!" Duchovny exclaimed. "The contestants are trying to get out!" Duchovny's limo pulled ahead. Once the space was cleared, the first limo took its spot, and out came a tall girl with full brown hair cascading over her shoulders. She had large green eyes and a wide, toothy smile. Her entire presence radiated excitable energy. Grace Buchanan," Duchovny exclaimed. "How's it going?"
"Going great now that I'm here," cried Grace, running over to Duchovny and shaking his hand aggressively. "Boy, I've been looking forward to this day for so long. Now it's finally here, and I don't know what to say."
"You seem to be saying a lot for someone who doesn't know what to say," said Duchovny.
"Got me there," Grace laughed. "Hoo-wee. So, when's our first challenge? I'm ready to go."
Patience, said Duchovny. "It's a virtue worth having. Now, let's get to know you a little bit. You're from Nebraska, right?"
"Nah, Kansas," Grace exclaimed. "Beverly, Kansas specifically."
"Beverly?" Duchovny smiled. "I've got a friend who's moving there."
"Really?" asked Grace, her smile fading for the first time. "You sure he's moving to Beverly, Kansas? Like, Beverly in Lincoln County? The one with less than 400 people?"
"Yeah," Duchovny replied. "Something wrong with that?"
"No, nothing's wrong," said Grace. "It's just that there's barely anything to bring anyone to Beverly. Not much happens. But hey, if he likes it, good on him. Personally, I wanted a little bit of excitement. That's why I'm here."
"That's what I like to hear," Duchovny beamed. "That's a good sign for things to come. And now, Grace, as much as I like talking to you, we got 7 others to introduce. Step off to the side, please."
"Can do," said Grace as she stepped onto the porch. "Nice place you got here," she continued.
He was too busy watching the next person step out of a limo. A large, lumbering figure emerged. It was a bulky young man with slick blonde hair golden as the sun. His face was chiseled, with eyes being masked behind a pair of round sunglasses. A truly intimidating sight. "Hello, Mr. Duchovny," the young man exclaimed. "I'm glad to meet you." The young man's Russian accent was very noticeable, helping give his deep voice a threatening edge despite its jovial tone. Well, said Duchovny. "If it isn't Yevgeny Kremdolov. Great to have you on the show." "Thank you," said Yevgeny. "It is my privilege." "I know a lot about you already," said Duchovny. "However, our audience doesn't. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?" Yevgeny leaned his head back, visibly thinking through his words. Finally, he began speaking. "I was born in Vladivostok, Russia. When I was 8 years old, my grandparents and I moved to Grand Rapids. I went through school, and now I am taking a year off before going to University of Michigan. This is how I spend my year out of school, hoping to make some money out of it. That way I can pave the way for my future. Whatever it is." "Good plan you got there, Yevgeny," said Duchovny. "What are you hoping to study there?" Yevgeny froze. Though his eyes were hidden behind the sunglasses' dark frames, it was clear that he was becoming increasingly more uncomfortable. I'll see you when I get there," Yevgeny stammered. "After all, I still have time." "Yep, still a good plan," Duchovny chuckled. "Are you mocking me?" Yevgeny asked, sounding incensed and his face slowly turning red. "I do not like being mocked." "Cool down there, my friend," Duchovny chuckled, holding up his hands. "Save that rage for your housemates. Chances are you're gonna need it. Now step on over to the side with Grace there." As Yevgeny joined Grace on the porch, the third limo pulled up to the manor. Out stepped a scrawny girl with a long neck, bony fingers, and eyes framed by enormously round glasses. Of course, this wasn't the first thing Duchovny noticed about her. No, the first thing he noticed was her bright pink hair. It was so bright that it almost hurt to look upon first glance. Her oddities did not end there, as she wore one black shoe and one white shoe.
"What a charming house," she smiled.
"Yep, there she is," cried Duchovny. "Amanda Dean."
"Jessie Duchovny?"
Amanda asked. "The one and only," Duchovny smiled. "You recognize me from my past work?"
"Sorry, no,"
Amanda replied.
I guess because that's the name of the host and you're kind of doing hosty things.
Right. Okay, said Dupovny, clearly disappointed. Anyways, how are things in Tacoma?
Rainy as always, Amanda chuckled. Being in Louisiana is sure gonna be different. Already, it's two things that Washington isn't, hot and muggy. It's like I can feel the air out here. Of course, I wouldn't expect it to be as cultured as Washington is, but that's okay. Not everyone can match my standards. Everyone does things differently.
Spoken like a true hippie, Dupovny laughed. What brings you to the game aside from the handsome host? After a small courtesy chuckle, Amanda replied with,
A real diverse friend group that I wouldn't meet by just staying at home.
Right, said Dupovny. So far, we got a Russian immigrant and a farm girl from the middle of nowhere. There's more to come, too. I think you're gonna find what you're looking for. Maybe even more.
Can't knock that,
said Amanda, starting to smile. One more thing, said Dupovny. What's with the shoes?
The shoes?
Asked Amanda, looking down.
Oh, right. Forgot about these. I wanted to do something a little different, you know?
Not really, but whatever, Dupovny shrugged. Dupovny ushered her over to the porch. The fourth limo pulled up. Dupovny looked over, seeing Amanda, Grace, and Yevgeny getting acquainted. A small smile spread across his narrow face. The door to the fourth limo slowly opened. Out stepped a slender young man with square glasses that framed his circular face. He had orange hair that was combed to one side, and a naturally glazed look in his eye. Above all, what stood out to Dupovny was his clothing. He was wearing a red button-up shirt, a striking black tie, and a very expensive-looking gray suit. Upon seeing him, Dupovny immediately recognized him. Good old Lance. Lance Patton, Boston's best. Sure, I guess that's me, Lance said flatly. He extended his hand, which Dupovny quickly shook. How's it hanging, Lance? He asked. Fair, I suppose, he replied. Listen, I have a few questions about the rules of this game. They all seem rather vague, and should have done some more research before coming on, eh? Ha ha, laughed Dupovny. Once he saw that Lance was staring back, stone-faced, he stopped. All right, then, he continued, now more serious. All questions will be answered in due time. Enough about the game, Lance. We want to hear about you. Much appreciated, said Lance. What is it you want to know? Anything, really, Dupovny answered. Something that will get this conversation going. Why not start with why I auditioned in the first place, said Lance. In all honesty, I'm doing this to further my career. A career and not getting to the point? Said Dupovny. Charming, scoffed Lance. I'm a psychology student. Did running start so that I could get a leg up on my peers? It may be a long shot, but I want to get noticed here. With my knowledge and expertise on full display, hopefully someone with a prestigious university or a clinic will find me offering a job, even if it is at entry level. I'm not a picky man. Whatever will help advance my ambitious career goals, I'm for it. Anything's possible, really, said Dupovny. Don't give up hope. It's not hope, Mr. Dupovny. It's logic, said Lance. Odds are someone whose guilty pleasure is reality television will stumble across me and bring me to new heights. Trust me, Mr. Dupovny, I'm going places. I'll bet you are, said Dupovny. In fact, I have a new place for you to go right now. It's the porch with the other contestants. Go on now. Lance briskly walked over to the porch. The second he stepped up, the fifth limo opened its back door. Hey, it's Jeremy Sawyer, Dupovny shouted, stepping forward. Jeremy was extremely pale. He looked as though he had only seen an hour of sunlight each week. He was somewhat short, very skinny, and incredibly grungy looking. His wrinkled t-shirt and baggy jeans matched perfectly with his backwards baseball cap. To top it off, his thick black hair poking out from under his hat was no more than 2 inches long. The stubble on his face was choppy and uneven, like he had tried to grow a beard but forgot how to do it. What's up, man? Said Jeremy in his scratchy voice. Nothing much, just hosting the show, said Dupovny. Right, got that, said Jeremy. Psyched to be here. I'm ready to have a good time. I'd expect nothing less from you, Dupovny smiled. I can see it now. 2 weeks from now, we'll be seeing a newspaper headline reading, Florida man destroys town and underage bender. Hey, I'm from Florida, so that fits, Jeremy exclaimed, smiling widely. Yeah, that was kind of intentional, man, said Dupovny, flashing a smile to the others on the porch. I knew that, said Jeremy sheepishly. Immediately, he regained his confidence. Are those the others? Either that or there's some neighbor kids who are trespassing, said Dupovny. Are you messing with me? Asked Jeremy. In a way, yes, said Dupovny. In another way, you're messing with yourself. You know what? I think we've gotten to know you a bit through this exchange. Why don't you hop on over to the porch? Sounds good, man. Jeremy beamed as he strode over to the porch, joining the others. Dupovny waved the next limo on. After seconds of waiting, a black girl with full frizzy black hair stepped out. While she was somewhat short, she carried herself in a way that made her seem tall, given her perfectly upright stature. The energy was immediately sucked out of her when she caught sight of the cameras. She trudged over to Dupovny, her brown eyes fixed closely to the ground. Olivia Holmes, Dupovny beamed. Number 6. Good old number 6. Olivia smiled and nodded, not saying a word. Everything okay? Asked Dupovny.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, she muttered.
What's that? Said Dupovny. Can't hear you.
I'm a little nervous,
Olivia said, only a little louder. A little nervous, Dupovny repeated. You do know that you signed up for a reality show, right?
I do, said Olivia. Honestly, I was kinda hoping I could get over it. Don't worry, I'm sure this is something I'll get used to soon. Then I'll be a fully functioning person.
Can I get that in writing? Dupovny sneered. Anyways, you're from the South, so you're not too far out of your element here in Louisiana. What do you think?
I mean, it's fine, I guess,
said Olivia. Dupovny's eyes narrowed. Not much for conversation, are we?
I'm sorry, Olivia whimpered. I thought I'd be better than this.
No harm done, said Dupovny. Bit time. You'll come out of your shell sooner or later. Dupovny pointed to the porch, and Olivia stepped on, sheepishly waving to the others.
How's it going? I'm Grace!
The sheer volume of Grace's introduction took Olivia aback. When she regained her composure, she shook Grace's hand.
Mr. Dupovny?
A voice chirped. Dupovny turned around to see a girl standing right behind him. Her thick, wavy hair shone in the sun. Her olive skin was smooth, clearly having been treated carefully. Perhaps too carefully. She was on the smaller side, only going up to Dupovny's chin. Patsy Maluha, Dupovny smiled. I was wondering when you'd show up.
Didn't think I made such bad time, considering I'm coming all the way from Hawaii,
Patsy replied. She glanced past Dupovny over to the porch. Looking for something, Patsy? Asked Dupovny.
Huh? What?
Patsy sputtered, coming back to attention. Oh, never mind, Dupovny said, slyly. I saw your audition tape. I read your essay. I know exactly what you're looking for.
Shh! Don't say anything, Patsy whispered. It has to happen naturally. Don't tip my hand.
Your secret is safe with me, said Dupovny. Trust me. On this show, you're in good hands. Good hands that will help make dreams come true.
Glad to hear it, said Patsy. This is where we're staying? Nice, nice. Definitely different from back home.
I'm really surprised with how well this old place is being received, said Dupovny. I thought you younger folk especially would have wanted something new and fancy.
This may not be new, but it is fancy, said Patsy. When do we get to check it out?
We're waiting on one more person, Dupovny replied. After he gets here, you'll be getting the grand tour.
Super!
Patsy cheered. She hurriedly walked over to the porch, immediately finding herself talking to Amanda. Dupovny looked over and saw the door to the last limo burst open. The person who stepped out immediately looked like the happiest guy in the world. If Grace's smile was excitable, this one was ecstatic, showing the whitest teeth that Dupovny had ever seen. His brown hair drooped onto the back of his neck. Everything about him made Dupovny think of the word clean. Look at this place, he exclaimed. It's like something out of a movie. I had a feeling you'd like it, said Dupovny. Everyone, meet Ethan Everett. Hi, guys. Oh, and girls. Girls, too, Ethan beamed. Great to meet all of you. You haven't met them quite yet, Ethan, said Dupovny. Well, it's a start, at least, Ethan replied. I'll take what I can get. I know the 8 of us are going to be best of friends. He is open, Dupovny chuckled. Tell us, Ethan, what made you want to come on Foul Manor?
It sounds a bit greedy, Ethan answered, but I want the prize money. $1 million will really help me for my future. I still plan on getting a good, honest job, but the $1 million will help put my future kids through college, you know?
Can't say that I do, said Duchovny. Don't have any kids. Anyways, anyone you want to send a message to back home?
Totally, said Ethan.
I want to say hi to Mom, Dad, my brothers Emmett and Eric, and my special lady Emily. Miss you lots already. My, oh my. Duchovny laughed somewhat uncomfortably. That's a lot of E-names. I guess they follow me around. Ethan smiled. Well, judging by the look in your eye, it's time for me to join the others. You read my mind, or rather, my eyes, said Duchovny. Ethan walked away while Duchovny watched. Here they are, Duchovny thought to himself. The gang's all here. You guys don't know it yet, but you're gonna put me right back on top where I belong. Chapter 2. The Grand Tour.
You're really excited, huh?
Asked Grace, inching closer to Ethan. I sure am, Ethan replied. I'm just so happy to be here.
So am I,
Grace smiled.
This is going to be so much fun.
Totally, Ethan exclaimed. By the way, I know I already said this, but it's great to meet all of you. A real pleasure already. Many thanks, said Yevgeny, chuckling awkwardly. Are you Mormon? Jeremy asked. Everyone turned to Jeremy and awkwardly stared him down. Amanda in particular was utterly baffled.
What are you doing?
She scoffed.
You just met this guy, and you're asking an insensitive question like that?
I mean, it's true, Ethan chuckled. I wear that badge with honor. Ah, Jeremy nodded confidently. Are you from Utah, then?
Did you really not listen to me?
Said Amanda, growing increasingly indignant. Again, I am, said Ethan.
You got lucky there, man,
said Patsy. I hope that's a double entendre, Jeremy said with a wink, leaning in.
Ew, no!
Patsy exclaimed, shoving Jeremy away. Hey, I'm just kidding around, said Jeremy, raising his hands in a surrender position. Jeez, come on, guys, get a sense of humor. Only when you get some social skills, Lance said flatly.
Come on, guys,
Olivia said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her, causing her to stare forward like a deer in headlights.
We just met and
She is right, said Yevgeny. This fighting is inevitable. We might as well wait until we get to know each other before we start.
What? No,
Olivia said softly.
That's not what
I'm really loving this display, said Duchovny as he stepped onto the porch. Trust me, I'd love to keep this going. Sadly, we can't. We have a tour to conduct. First off, let me welcome you to your new home. Duchovny gestured to the house in a sweeping motion. As everyone turned to look, Duchovny snuck a note card out from his suit, skimmed it over, then quickly shoved it back in. Welcome to the Manor, he said. Formerly known as the Callaway Estate, this house was the site of the former Louisiana tycoon Richard Callaway Sr. We bought this thing and spruced it up for modern living. Apparently.
I don't know how to feel about this,
Amanda said.
The fact that a historic landmark is being overhauled by corporate media bothers me, but the fact that a pillar of historic racism being removed is kind of a refreshing sight.
Maybe you are just trying too hard to be offended, Yevgeny muttered, just loud enough for Amanda to overhear. Before I let you in, I want to reiterate the rules of the game, said Duchovny. You eight will be living in this house facing the challenges of day-to-day life, as well as each other. Every 3 days, you will face some kind of challenge set up by yours truly. It pays to be both a host and a producer, you know? Of course you don't. Take my word for it, it's great. Anyways, if you ever wish to leave the show for whatever reason, you can up and leave at any time, tender a note of resignation, like leaving a job. However, if you do that, you'll forfeit everything, including the grand prize, $1 million. At the end of the game, one of you will walk away with the grand prize. Who's it gonna be? Only time will tell. Hold on, Lance interrupted. That still doesn't clear everything up. There's still a lot that... May I remind you that all questions will be answered at the end of the tour. Duchovny growled, giving off a suspiciously vicious tone. Seconds later, he snapped back to his sunny demeanor. Now, welcome to your new home. The double doors opened up, revealing a grand foyer with real oak wood floors. The large staircase stood to the left. The ceilings were high and expansive, looking as though they went on forever. Immediately in front of them was a hallway. Duchovny led them to the left, sending them to an expansive living room, with a kitchen right behind it. Despite the fact that the house itself was old, all of the appliances were state-of-the-art, the newest microwave, refrigerator, oven, TV, furniture, the works. "This doesn't exactly fit with the historic theme," said Lance. "Does it really matter, though?" Ethan chuckled. "Look at this stuff! Top of the line everything! Nifty!" "Nifty?" Yevgeny sneered. "Haven't heard of that one before." Jeremy ran over the couch, plopping himself down on it, immediately sprawling out. "This is living," he sighed. "This is going to be great."
Hey, move over,
said Grace.
"The couch isn't all yours."
"Oh, but of course, my lady." Jeremy smiled, readjusting his position, patting the seat next to him. Ignoring Jeremy's odd behavior, Grace sat down next to him.
"Yep, this is a great couch,"
she said.
"But what's that weird smell?"
"I don't smell anything," said Jeremy. Lance walked over to the fridge while Duchovny continued shuffling through his note cards, back turned to the others. Upon opening the fridge, Lance saw that it was teeming with food. "A fully stocked refrigerator," he smirked. "Not bad. Not bad at all."
"Same with the pantry,"
Amanda added, standing in the doorway of a walk-in pantry. "Enjoy it while you can. This is the only time we're going to do your shopping for you," Duchovny explained. "Each week you'll be given some house money to buy things with. Food, decor, clothes, whatever. Be sure to check in with the others before you spend. Money is one of the biggest things that can tear a group apart." "Noted," Ethan chirped, perhaps louder than he intended. "That's not all," Duchovny announced. "I personally took the liberty of ordering you a full library of the best movies available." No sooner had Duchovny finished his sentence did Patsy run right over to the cabinet next to the TV and open the door. She grabbed a pile of 5 movies, quickly looking through them.
"Let's see what we got here,"
she said excitedly.
"Jesse Duchovny in The Enchanted City? Jesse Duchovny is Kid Stryker? Lost in Burbank starring Chloe Myers and Jesse Duchovny? What the..."
Jeremy and Olivia walked over, looking at the front covers, each one of them as confused as Patsy was. "I don't get it," said Jeremy. "Were you named after this kid or something?"
"That's him as a kid," Patsy replied. "Thought that was kinda obvious."
"I knew that," barked Jeremy. "I was just testing you."
"You in the movies?"
Olivia asked, tilting her head. "Was I ever," said Duchovny, leaning his head back. "I was the child acting sensation that was sweeping the nation. Not a person in this great country of ours didn't know me by name. I was the talk of the town."
"Well, what happened?"
Olivia wondered.
"Why aren't you still making movies?"
"Well, Duchovny stammered. That's neither here nor there." "Stocking the house with nothing but your movies?" Lance asked. "Might we have an ego problem on our hands?" "Never you mind," said Duchovny. "Besides, we don't have time for that. We still have more to see." Duchovny led them down the other end of the hall. At the end, where the living room was on the other side, was a library. With the exception of the window, the walls were entirely comprised of bookshelves, stacked to the brim with books of all sorts, some old, some new, all incredibly thick. In the middle was a circular rug, with 3 leather chairs gathered around it. "Now this is my kind of room," said Lance, who was already combing through the selection. "Huckleberry Finn, War and Peace. I like what I see. With all these books, I should get through them in maybe a month." Lance chuckled at the last part, but nobody else did. "My head hurts just looking at this," Jeremy moaned. "I'd expect nothing less from you," said Lance.
"That's a little harsh, don't you think?"
Olivia asked shyly. Lance ignored her, continuing to observe the books. "According to my sources," said Duchovny, "this library was where Mr. Richard Calloway spent his evenings. He would read and read while his, servants did the housework."
"You mean slaves?"
Amanda scoffed.
"I didn't think you would try to gloss over your own history."
"That's not my history," Duchovny replied. "That was over 100 years ago. Besides, my family immigrated from Jamaica in the 50s. "Way to assume," Yevgeny jeered.
It's always safe to rush to the defense of a marginalized people, Yevgeny,
Amanda said while rolling her eyes. If you like trouble, maybe, Yevgeny groaned. Enough of this room, then, said Dupovny. Let's check out some of the others. The rest of the downstairs rooms were equally as exciting for the others. There was a bedroom that was converted into an exercise room, a rec room with a pool table and a bar counter, and a small room that only had a single stool.
What's with this thing?
Grace asked.
Ooh, ooh,
Patsy exclaimed.
This must be the confessional. This is where the contestants on reality shows go to express their innermost thoughts.
That just made my job easier, Dupovny chuckled. Now, on to the backyard. Wait, Jeremy shouted. I want to use this. Jeremy shoved everyone out of the confessional. Amanda shot him a dirty look, but it didn't make any difference. Jeremy slammed the door, then began. I'm so psyched to be here, man, he beamed. The guys here seem so cool. Oh, and the chicks, man. Tons of lookers here. Looks like I've got it made. Jeremy stepped out, now with all of the girls giving him dirty looks. What's wrong?
The walls aren't exactly soundproof,
Patsy replied. Yeah, well, what's wrong with that? Jeremy asked, rubbing the back of his head.
I pity whoever is going to have to room with you,
Amanda scoffed.
At least we're safe,
Grace chimed in.
Unless the rooms are co-ed.
I hope not, said Olivia. Nothing against you guys, but, well, you know. Don't worry, said Dupovny. All will be explained in due time. Now, unless we have any further delays, let's check out the backyard. Outside the sliding glass door was the grassy backyard. It was basically a small field with a patio in the front. On the patio was a fire pit and a hot tub. At the end of the yard was a slope that led down to a river. The water was smooth and still, but looked very deep. Is this where we are supposed to be swimming? Asked Yevgeny. If you're adventurous enough, I suppose, said Dupovny. Given that it's August, it's prime season to take a dip. It is Louisiana, though, said Liam. The water probably won't ever be as cold in the winter as it would be back home. Back where I'm from, Jeremy interrupted, the water is almost always fine. Even if it wasn't, I could handle it. I never get cold.
You haven't felt good water till you've been to Hawaii,
Patsy chimed in. This is where your first challenge is going to take place, said Dupovny. But more on that later. There's still the upstairs to take care of. Dupovny led them inside, up the massive staircase. They approached a long hallway. We're running out of time, so I'll make this brief, said Dupovny, finishing his last note card. From closest to us to furthest from us is laundry room, girls' bedroom 1, girls' bedroom 2, second bathroom, guys' bedroom 1, guys' bedroom 2, and storage room. At the end of the hall is the communal phone. You know, no cell phones allowed here after all. You'll have to use that corded phone hooked to the wall there if you want to make any phone call to the outside world. If you want the number, it's etched on the base. This is the only way to make calls, no exceptions. That's the house, your all-new home. Any questions?
When's the first challenge?
Grace asked excitedly.
I can't wait!
Keep calm, Grace, said Dupovny. This evening will be your first challenge. Don't ask what it is, you'll find out in due time. Anything else? Let me guess. Lance? That's right, Lance piped up. The rules of the game are still quite unclear. How long are we going to be here? It said in the description that it would be as long as needed. How long is that specifically? Self-explanatory, Dupovny replied. The game will be done when it's done. Don't worry, you won't miss any part of your lives back home because the game went on too long. Trust me. Fair enough, said Lance. How is the winner determined in this game? That's for me to know, and you to find out, Dupovny sneered. I see, said Lance. Well, how's about 1,000,000 questions with this one? Dupovny exclaimed. I knew you'd be an inquisitive man, but geez. When you have such vague explanations, this is to be expected, said Lance. If it's so vague, then why did you audition in the first place? Asked Yevgeny. Zing! Score one for Yevgeny, Dupovny exclaimed. Now, any other questions? No? Alrighty then. Time for your room assignments. Dupovny reached into his pocket, passed the note cards, and out came a set of 8 keys, each one with a number engraved on it. These are your room keys. Don't you lose 'em. We'll charge you for new ones, okay? Okay. We've already made your room assignments based off your personalities, interests, and whatever else. Room 1,
Olivia and Patsy. Room 2, Grace and Amanda. Room 3, Ethan and Yevgeny. Finally, room 4, Lance and Jeremy. Duchovny passed out the keys. The disdain on Lance's face was quite clear.
Good luck,
Amanda whispered.
you're going to need it rooming with that guy and all.
Thanks, Lance grumbled, eyeing Jeremy, who was fixated on his key. With that, I'd better be off, Duchovny called out as he turned away. I'll see y'all tonight for the first challenge. No going back now, folks. Welcome to the game. Duchovny strode down the stairs, out the door, and back into his limo. The moment his seatbelt clicked, the limo pulled out onto the main road. Can't wait to see how this whole moving in thing's gonna go down, Duchovny muttered. Good thing HQ ain't too far away. Otherwise, I'd be kinda out of luck. Gotta see this all for myself. After 15 minutes of driving, Duchovny arrived at the Fowl Manor headquarters, a small gray ranch house in the middle of a small collection of farm homes. Nobody living in the other houses knew what was going on inside this one, nor would they ever find out if Duchovny had his way. Whack! The door flew open, smacking against the wall. Duchovny dashed inside like a bolt of lightning. Where the living room was supposed to be was a collection of monitors, each of which were focused on one room of the house. 3 engineers were sitting in the chairs, monitoring the screens. All of them were wearing headsets. What do we got? Asked Duchovny. A lot of good stuff so far, the first engineer said. Before you say anything, yes, we've saved all the unpacking footage for you, sir. Check your email. Duchovny walked into what used to be the master bedroom, closing the door behind him. Up went the laptop lid, and sure enough, 4 new notifications appeared at the bottom of the screen. Each one had a subject along the lines of unpacking footage for room X. Perfect, Duchovny chuckled. Now let's see how these misfits in a mix. Chapter 3, Settling In. Let's start in order, Duchovny said to himself. Room 1. I wonder how Olivia and Patsy are getting along. A notes document was pulled up to the side while Duchovny clicked on the first video sent. Sure enough, it was footage of Olivia and Patsy unpacking in their room. Olivia stood in the doorway, seemingly unable to decide which bed to take, the one on the left or the one on the right. She didn't have too long to decide, however, given that Patsy immediately dove to the bed on the left.
This place is amazing,
Patsy exclaimed.
I'm already loving it here.
Yeah, it's pretty good, Olivia muttered, inching over to the bed on the right side.
I came late, so I didn't catch where you were from,
said Patsy.
Oh, I don't think Mr. Duchovny said it at all, Olivia replied, not turning back to face Patsy. I'm from Durham, North Carolina.
Ooh, North Carolina,
Patsy beamed.
How is it there?
It's good, said Olivia. After a few moments of silence, Olivia continued, finally facing Patsy. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at conversation.
Hey, it's okay,
said Patsy.
I guess I'll just have to do the talking for both of us.
Olivia gave a small chuckle but said nothing. While she was unpacking her clothes, she looked over to see Patsy loading up the shelf next to her bed with books. Immediately, Olivia's face lit up for the very first time. You're a reader too? She asked.
I am,
Patsy replied.
What kinds of books do you like?
Don't get me started, said Olivia, the sound of her voice making it seem as though she'd been waiting years for someone to discuss this with. I'm the kind of person who goes through different phases and waves. I'm kind of in a classic mood right now. I'm currently reading The Grapes of Wrath. I think I forgot my copy, actually. Judging by the size of the library, we've probably got one here. No harm, no foul. What about you?
Everything you see on the shelf,
said Patsy with a smile. Olivia stepped forward faster than Duchovny had seen her move all day. One look at the books, however, and her smile faded away. The Wandering Heart? Infernos of Passion? Olivia muttered.
I know,
said Patsy.
These aren't as highbrow as something like The Grapes of Wrath, but I can't help it. I love these. Cheesy romance novels are my thing. I've been reading these since I was a little girl.
You don't say, said Olivia, her shyness quickly washing over her once again.
I do, actually,
said Patsy. Suddenly, her eyes darted back and forth, seemingly looking for someone spying in on the conversation.
Can I tell you something?
She whispered. Okay, Olivia replied, leaning her head forward slightly.
You can't tell anyone, okay?
Okay.
Promise?
Promise.
Cross your heart, hope to die, stick a needle in your eye?
Haven't heard that one since grade school, but okay. I promise, all that stuff. Patsy leaned in close, then whispered,
These are the reasons I came on the show. I realized I wasn't going to get my happily ever after by sitting around waiting for it. I had to do something myself.
Uh-huh, said Olivia. Her voice made it sound like she had no idea where Patsy was going with this, but the look on her face said otherwise.
Call me crazy, but I've got this feeling that I'll find the one here,
cried Patsy, her joy forcing her to no longer whisper.
There were only 4 guys, so my choices are a little limited. It can't be Ethan. He's already got a girlfriend. He's totally off the table. So is Jeremy. He's kind of a creep. Though he could be like the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. You never know, but doubt it. Lance seems like the stoic type who needs to learn to let his guard down and embrace his feelings, while Yevgeny strikes me as the exotic foreigner type. I know, I read a lot of these.
Olivia stared at Patsy, taken aback. To Dupovny, it looked as though she had just seen Patsy's skin turn neon green. Her lips were moving, but no words were coming out. Olivia was utterly stunned.
Everything okay?
Asked Patsy.
You look off.
Oh, me? Well, you, Olivia stammered. If that's what you want, go right ahead. Only
what?
Only... You... Don't go so full... If you only... Never mind. Olivia immediately turned around, resuming unpacking her things at a furiously fast pace.
Everything all right? It's okay if you have some notes about my little mission,
said Patsy.
Go on.
Well, Olivia began slowly, maybe don't be so gung-ho about it. Love isn't something you can rush into. These things just kind of happen, you know? If it happens, great, but be careful above all else.
Trust me, I'm more than careful,
Patsy replied.
I've been looking for Mr. Right forever. Not just anybody will do. He's got to be the perfect man. Nothing less.
That's kind of what I was... The words seemed to get jammed in Olivia's throat. All she could do was hopelessly stutter.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I think this is the start of a good friendship,
Patsy chirped as she began organizing her book collection. Olivia continued to stand there, utterly frozen. Dupovny did not wait around for her to start moving again. He glanced over at his note sheet, which was filled with bullet point analysis of what he had just seen. Besides, there was no time to waste. There were still 3 more rooms to observe. Next up was Grace and Amanda's room. Similar to Olivia and Patsy's room situation, Amanda stared at the 2 beds, trying to decide which one of them she wanted. Like Patsy, Grace immediately made her choice, jumping to the bed on the left.
You weren't going to wait for me to pick mine, or at least let me voice my preference?
Amanda asked shrilly.
On the farm, we don't wait around, said Grace. It's on your mark, get set, go. I can see that,
sighed Amanda.
I guess I'll take my spot on the right side of the room.
Something wrong with the right side or something? Said Grace, ripping her suitcase open.
Nothing really,
Amanda answered.
It's the principle of the thing, like I said.
I getcha, said Grace.
So, you excited for the big challenge tonight? A little bit,
said Amanda.
At the same time, I'm kind of nervous. Who knows what kinds of things they'll have in store for us?
I know, isn't it great? Grace exclaimed.
You're actually excited for the possibility of mortal danger?
Said Amanda, looking away from the blue peace sign flag she was hanging up on the wall. I totally am, replied Grace, practically jumping with excitement.
I've been waiting for something like this all my life. Sure, I love my hometown, but it's boring to live in a place where nothing happens. I want something exciting in my life. This is it. This is what I have been looking for. It's finally here. You know what they say, no pain, no gain. I guess that's true,
said Amanda.
And who am I to knock your interests? I'm hoping that the first challenge isn't a physical one. I want something that eases you into the flow of the show.
As much as I like that rhyme, Grace chuckled,
that's not really how these kinds of shows work. I imagine. I honestly haven't seen any of these shows. We don't have TV back home, but But my friends have. They've told me all about them. They say these things get brutal. I don't know, said Amanda. I was kind of hoping that this would be one of those reality shows mostly focused on the different personalities of those on it, with the occasional challenge thrown in here and there. A classy challenge, though. Something like a singing competition or an art festival. I may not have watched these things, said Grace, but even I know that art festivals don't get ratings. That's what these TV people care about. That's a shame, Amanda huffed. You know, that shows exactly what's wrong with our culture today. People care more about heinous violence and humiliation than they do about things that actually make a difference in their lives. You talk this way to everyone you just met? Asked Grace, shoving her clothes into her dresser drawers haphazardly. What's that supposed to mean? Said Amanda, starting to sound indignant. Nothing, Grace replied, flashing a smile. Anyways, let's change the subject. This is getting a little hostile for my taste. What do you think's gonna happen on this show? For challenges or in general? General. Not quite sure, Amanda answered. I can tell you one thing. Jeremy won't last long. I sure hope not, said Grace with a shudder. Granted, I don't know the guy too much, but he seems like a scumbag. That's the idea, Duchovny said to himself. Another note sheet was entirely filled out. He had gotten all that he could from the girls, now for the guys. Yevgeny and Ethan were next. Yevgeny was first in the room. Right away he took the bed on the right. Ethan stepped in moments later, taking the left bed. How are you doing, Yevgeny, right? Ethan asked, flashing his usual grin. Yes, it is, Yevgeny replied sternly. Ethan turned to look at Yevgeny, who was carefully laying his clothes in the drawers. You excited for the show? Said Ethan. Somewhat, Yevgeny answered, equally as sternly as the first answer. Not much of a conversationalist, I take it, said Ethan, turning his suitcase open, which was lying on the bed. Not very much, no, said Yevgeny. I don't like small talk too much. It only takes up time. I'm only trying to get to know you, said Ethan. Not all too well, Yevgeny huffed. Oh, well, I'll let you be then, said Ethan. While he was unpacking his bags, he saw Yevgeny hanging a poster on the wall. 4 grungy-looking men stood in a row, scowling at whoever was looking at it. Underneath them were the words, Rancid Cycle. You're a Rancid Cycle fan, huh? Asked Ethan. I am, replied Yevgeny. Are you? Not really, said Ethan. Hard rock isn't really my thing. I'm more of a smooth jazz man myself. Yevgeny looked over at Ethan. Somehow Duchovny could feel Yevgeny's eyes narrow past the sunglasses. Yes, you would like that. You seem the type. There's nothing more wholesome than smooth jazz the way I see it, Ethan continued as though he didn't hear Yevgeny at all. It's the perfect thing to listen to when you're all stressed out. Something about it is so easy on the ears. Whatever the occasion, whatever the mood, smooth jazz is always a swell choice. Swell? Asked Yevgeny. What is swell? You know, said Ethan. It's like nifty, dandy, or keen, stuff like that. Yevgeny kept staring forward. I know less now than I did when I asked. It means that I like it, said Ethan, resuming his unpacking. I heard you use that one earlier, said Yevgeny. I thought you were speaking Dutch or something. Nope, I only speak English, Ethan beamed. Though I have taught myself a little bit of French. Bonjour. I do not speak French, Yevgeny growled, turning back to his poster. Moments later, he looked back at Ethan, who put a piece of wood about the size of a brick on his nightstand. Looking closer, Duchovny could barely make out the words written on it. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. You brought that here? Said Yevgeny. Of course, Ethan replied, smiling wider. It reminds me that when things get tough, everything is gonna be A-OK. Understandable, Yevgeny said softly. It makes sense that you would need this kind of reassurance every day. A little hostile, but okay, Ethan said, still smiling. I think I've seen enough, said Duchovny as he closed down the video. One left. Lance and Jeremy. Another blank note sheet was pulled up.
ready to be filled with whatever Duchovny saw fit. Lance had taken the bed on the left, while Jeremy had taken the one on the right. Neither one of them spoke a word to each other. "Come on, boys," Duchovny exclaimed. "We need some action here." Still nothing. Utter silence. "This ain't right," Duchovny moaned. "One of you say something. Anything. Don't make me come over there." Finally, after waiting for 2 minutes, Duchovny heard Jeremy start to talk.
"How you doing, man?"
he asked. "Still confused," Lance answered. The rules are vague, but now Duchovny seems to be intentionally skirting my questions. Is it just me, or is something up here?
"I think it's just you, man," said Jeremy. "Don't worry about these things. Go with the flow."
"Greatness isn't achieved by going with the flow," said Lance. "Nor is clarity. He has to answer me soon."
"All right, sure,"
said Jeremy, shrugging his shoulders. "Hey, do you smell that?" said Lance.
"Smell what?" asked Jeremy. "Why does everyone keep asking that?"
"Oh, never mind," Lance sighed with a shrug. Another period of silence fell. Suddenly, Jeremy blurted out,
"Ah, man!"
"What's the matter?"
"Dude, this is so bad!" Jeremy exclaimed. "Jennifer Aniston doesn't have the house's number!"
Lance looked over, an eyebrow raised high. "Is she supposed to?"
"Totally, man!" cried Jeremy. "We've been working on a project together. How are we supposed to get it off the ground if we can't talk to each other?"
"You're working on a project with Jennifer Aniston?"
"Yeah, we've been working on a pilot together."
Lance's eyes narrowed. "Really? Might I ask how you two met?" Jeremy froze momentarily.
"Well, he sputtered. "We ran into each other once at a steakhouse. Our chemistry was off the charts. We just clicked, man. Simple as that."
Lance shook his head. "I find that unlikely," he said. "What was Jennifer Aniston doing in Tampa when she lives in California? How are you the only fan out of her millions that she has agreed to work with purely on a whim? If you don't mind me saying, these claims are dubious at best."
"I swear I'm telling the truth," Jeremy insisted, sticking out his chest. "This is no joke."
"Then tell me," said Lance. "What is your show about?"
"All right," Jeremy said slowly. "It's about this guy and this girl who fall in love. Their family doesn't like them being together, so they try to break them up. This caused them to have to carry it on in secret."
"Are you playing the young man?" Lance asked.
"No, don't be ridiculous," Jeremy laughed. "I'm the writer and director."
"I see," Lance nodded. "Congratulations. You have just described the plot of Romeo and Juliet." Jeremy froze again.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's a modern retelling of the story."
Lance shook his head, letting out a little scoff.
"The ending is the part I'm looking forward to the most," Jeremy said suddenly.
"You mean the suicide scene?" Lance asked, back turned to Jeremy.
"It's gonna be a murder scene in this one, dude," Jeremy replied. "I don't know if you feel the same way, but the concept of death really fascinates me. Think about it. When you're about to off someone, you hold their fate in your hands. You decide whether their story continues or not. In a moment, you're given power that a person usually never has. It elevates a person's position. It makes someone the master of life and death for that one person."
Lance turned to Jeremy, mouth agape, utterly baffled at what he had just heard. Once again, silence. Lance took a deep breath, then muttered, "You're sick." "And that's exactly what I want," Duchovny exclaimed. He closed the video down. All 4 note sheets were filled out. Perfect! A small printer lay on the desk, covered with papers. Duchovny hastily cleared it, hooked his laptop up to it, then printed out the 4 sheets. The moment they finished, he plucked the still warm pieces of paper right from the tray. Out he ran into the hallway. The room next to him had a sign on it reading, "Writer's Room." The door creaked open with Duchovny inching inside. No one was there. However, a massive whiteboard covered in writing was at the end of the room. Duchovny grabbed a magnet and stuck the stack of papers to the whiteboard. He cleared a space, then wrote, "See what you can do with this," ending with an arrow pointing to the papers. "Let's hope they can work some magic while I'm gone," Duchovny muttered. "Can't worry about that right now. I've got a challenge to prepare for. Chapter 4. Sticking It to Him. Duchovny spent the next 2 hours rehearsing how he was going to present himself during the challenge. What to say, how to say it, what ways he would move, and more. No detail was left unexamined. Everything had to be perfect. It wasn't until one of the engineers came in to tell Duchovny that it was time to leave did he realize how long he had been spending preparing. He strode into the limo, which pulled out as soon as the driver heard the seatbelt click. "I sure hope everything is in its place," Duchovny muttered. "The last thing I need is for the first episode to have a major screw-up." Once the limo pulled up to the manor, Duchovny leapt out, running towards the backyard. He arrived, his face hot with anticipation. He stepped over to the river. In the middle was a floating diving platform, resting on top of the motionless water. On it were 2 dueling sticks. A toothy smile spread across Duchovny's face. "I knew they wouldn't let me down," he beamed. With a hasty step, he walked into the house and bellowed, "Housemates, come on out to the backyard for your first challenge. You got 2 minutes." Within the blink of an eye, Grace shot downstairs and ran through the back door, even getting out before Duchovny.
All right, here I am. I'm ready, she exclaimed. Let's go. Let's do it.
"Hey, oh, hold on now," said Duchovny. "Notice anything missing? Actually, 7 things?" Grace looked back.
Huh? What? Oh, right. Sorry.
Just then the others filed out of the door onto the patio. Without being told, they all stood in a line. Olivia was digging her feet in the ground. Patsy saw this and patted her on the back.
Chin up,
She smiled.
You're only making this worse in your head.
"I guess so," Olivia muttered. "Listen up," Duchovny announced. "It's time for your first challenge." Lance glanced over to the platform. "I think I can see where this is going," he muttered. "I sure hope so," said Duchovny. "Otherwise, what kind of genius would you be? Anyways, you'll be paired up into groups of 2. Each group is going to face off against each other on that platform there. Whoever knocks their opponent off first wins. Wins what, you may ask? Normally, these things earn you a reward when you win. And because this is the first challenge, we wanted to start off with a bang. Our 4 winners today will be winning an extra special secret surprise. What is it? The only way to find out is to win."
That's it?
Amanda asked nervously.
No other rules, like no headshots? No pulling hair?
"Anything's fair game as long as it's not lethal," Duchovny replied. "Now, first up." Duchovny looked up and down the line. Yevgeny stared straight ahead, stone-faced. Grace was grinning from ear to ear, and everyone else looked somewhat nervous. "How's about Jeremy and Yevgeny?" "Sounds fair," said Yevgeny, stepping forward. "Good luck, man," cried Jeremy, extending his hand. Yevgeny looked at Jeremy's bony hand. The nails were black with dirt, and his skin looked dry and cracked. "I do not need it," Yevgeny grumbled, walking towards the platform. "How am I supposed to get over there without getting wet?" "Guess you got no other choice but to take a long run and jump," Duchovny chuckled. Yevgeny stepped back, then charged at the platform with full speed. He soared through the air, landing in the center of the platform with a mighty thud, which shook the sticks. One almost fell into the river. Yevgeny caught it and held it high above his head.
Looks like you've got your work cut out for you,
Patsy jeered.
"No, Biggie,"
Jeremy said boastfully.
"I can handle it."
Like Yevgeny, Jeremy took a running jump to the platform. However, unlike Yevgeny, he did not stick the landing. Instead, he landed in the water, hitting his chin on the edge of the platform as he went under. "Oh, that's gotta hurt!" Ethan exclaimed, recoiling in pain. Duchovny started laughing while Yevgeny shook his head. Jeremy climbed onto the platform soaking wet. He staggered to his feet as Yevgeny handed him the other dueling stick.
"It's fine,"
Said Jeremy.
"I'm okay. Not hurt. I'm good."
"Are you sure?" said Ethan. "That didn't look or sound good at all,"
"I'm not made of glass, man."
said Jeremy.
"It'll take a lot more than that to beat Jeremy Sawyer."
"I will keep that in mind," Yevgeny sneered. "You boys ready?"
"You bet, dude."
cried Jeremy. "Let's start already," Yevgeny hissed. "And begin!"
"You're going down, man."
cried Jeremy.
"I'm a great fighter. One time,
Bam! Bam! Yevgeny hit Jeremy twice, once in the face, then once in the stomach. Jeremy was immobilized by pain. Yevgeny hit Jeremy one more time, causing Jeremy to drop his stick.
Hey, I wasn't ready!
He protested. Yevgeny didn't care. One more hit sent Jeremy toppling back into the water. Are you ready now? Yevgeny asked coyly. Jeremy rose back to the surface, coughing and sputtering.
Oh my gosh!
Patsy exclaimed.
That was brutal! You're telling me?
Said Amanda.
Utterly savage and barbaric.
Are you sure about this challenge, Mr. Dupovny? Olivia asked nervously. I was kinda sure at first, but after seeing this exchange, I'm more sure than ever, Dupovny replied, flashing a sinister-looking smile. Olivia rushed to the side of the river. Hey, Jeremy! Grab my hand, she called out. Jeremy flopped over to Olivia and grabbed her hand so tightly that she almost lost her balance. She heaved him up onto the side of the river.
Thanks,
Jeremy said through coughs.
I let him win, by the way. I knew he probably needed a win for his self-esteem.
Oh, alright. Okay, said Olivia, trying to repress a smile. Yevgeny looked on to the riverside, his head tilted. How am I supposed to get back? He asked. You gotta swim, I guess, Ethan shrugged. Can't see any other way. Yevgeny threw his coat away. It landed on Lance's head, which caused him to shoot a furious scowl at Yevgeny. However, Yevgeny didn't see it, as he was now wading through the water, trudging over to the land. Once he was up, Amanda approached him.
Don't you feel ashamed of yourself for that barbaric display?
She barked.
Don't you think you went too far with that?
Don't you think that you are trying to take offense at something so that you can feel more important? Yevgeny replied.
I do not appreciate that response,
Amanda scoffed. Good for you, said Yevgeny, rolling his eyes behind his sunglasses. So, Mr. Dupovny, where is my prize? I won the match, so I should be getting the prize. I know you won, Yevgeny, Dupovny said with a cheeky smile. The winners get their prizes at the end of the challenge. Man, oh man, what is it with you kids and not being able to wait? Being 18 makes you no longer a kid, Yevgeny growled. That's true, said Dupovny. Then again, being loud and aggressive makes you no longer formidable. Trying too hard to upstage the host, bud. That is not a good look on you. Dejected, Yevgeny walked over to Lance. I'm sorry for hitting you with my coat, Yevgeny laughed. It was rather unlucky, wouldn't you say? Lance threw the coat at him with great force. Not a wise decision, Yevgeny hissed. I'm willing to take my chances, said Lance, stepping forward. Enough of all that squabbling, said Dupovny. It's time for the next match. Why don't we have... Aha! Grace and Patsy.
Cool, let's go!
Grace cheered.
Uh-huh.
Patsy whimpered nervously. You'll be fine, Olivia whispered. Like you said, you're just building it up in your head. Everything's gonna be okay. They wouldn't hurt us too much on the first day, right?
Did you not see what happened to Jeremy?
Patsy whispered back.
I'm about as small as he is. I'm going to get killed.
Tick-tock, Patsy, Dupovny said in a sing-song tone, wagging his finger. Grace was already on the platform, practicing her dueling stick moves. Patsy gulped. There was no going back now. It was now or never. Patsy took a good run, landing on the edge. She was teetering on the edge of the platform, struggling to balance. If so much as a grain of sand landed on her, she would have fallen right in. Grace ran over to Patsy, grabbing her arms.
Hang on,
she grunted as she heaved Patsy onto the platform.
Thank you,
said Patsy. Patsy grabbed a dueling stick, which shook in her hands. She looked ahead at Grace, who seemed as though she was planning for this moment her entire life. Nothing could faze her.
This is awesome, isn't it?
She grinned.
I guess so,
Patsy sighed.
Look, it's only a challenge,
said Grace.
I'm not going to hurt you. This is all in good fun. I'll even go easy on you if you want.
Patsy began to smile now.
Thank you.
And begin, Dupovny exclaimed, pumping his fist. Everyone leaned in. The anticipation in the air was electric. Everyone knew that Jeremy had no chance against Yevgeny. This match, however, was different. Who would win? Grace and her energetic eagerness, or Patsy's swift quickness? I'm on the edge of my seat here, Ethan said as he stared with awe.
You don't have a seat,
said Jeremy.
Dude, please, think before you talk.
Amanda scoffed. That would do him wonders if he knew how to do it, said Lance. Grace and Patsy were circling each other on the platform, each one staring directly in the other's eyes, anticipating an attack. Grace faked Patsy out, causing her to flinch so hard that she nearly dropped her dueling stick.
Lesson number 1, said Grace. Never flinch like that during a fight. It shows your enemy that you're unprepared. That could be your last mistake. Thanks, Patsy sighed. I'll keep that in mind if I ever walk the streets of Compton at night. Grace faked Patsy out again, then again, then again. Grace lunged at Patsy once more. Thinking it was another fake out, Patsy held her ground, not moving an inch. Bam! Patsy found one end of the dueling stick striking her right in the face, sending her down to the ground. Ow! She wailed. Come on, Grace sneered. I barely hit you. I have a low pain threshold, okay? Patsy growled. It seems like this one is over before it even started, said Yevgeny. Don't count. She can still... Olivia stammered, trailing off at the end into nothing. Grace took a swing at Patsy. Had Patsy ducked a mere second later, the end of the stick would have smashed right into her face again. Grace tried to sweep Patsy's feet, but Patsy jumped up, evading the strike. You call this going easy? Patsy wailed. Sorry about that, Grace smiled. I really don't hold back with these kinds of physical competitions, even when I really, really try. I was kind of expecting that, honestly, said Patsy. Hopefully you won't be expecting this, though. Before Grace could respond, Patsy unleashed a flurry of lightning-fast jabs. Grace blocked each one, though seemed to be putting all of her focus into blocking these hits. Patsy smiled. She knew she was wearing Grace down little by little. Had enough? Grace looked up at the others, who were all fixated on the match. Even Lance watched on with an intrigued expression. Quickly, Grace looked back to see Patsy lunging right for her, dueling stick raised high above her head. Acting purely on instinct, Grace jumped to the side, causing Patsy to run right off the edge of the platform and into the river. Grace wins, Dupovny announced. When Patsy rose up from the water, she shot a furious glare at Grace. I really am sorry, said Grace. I tried to hold back, 'cause it's just not in my nature. I'm not mad about that, Patsy replied. I'm mad that my new outfit is drenched with dirty river water. Someone has a good handle on her priorities, Lance murmured. That's rude, Amanda scoffed. And that's invading on privacy, Lance snapped back. Well, I may as well join in on the fun while I'm at it, Grace exclaimed. She reeled back, then cannonballed into the river. Nice water, good and warm. You can thank the Louisiana heat for that, said Dupovny. Now you girls come on up. We got 2 more matches to tend to today. Grace and Patsy trudged back onto the land, both sopping wet. I wished I brought a towel, Patsy whined. It's okay, said Olivia in a consoling tone. Nobody knew this was a water challenge. There's no way you could have come prepared. I feel like that should help, but it doesn't, Patsy said grimly. Our next match, Dupovny said suddenly, will be between Ethan and Olivia. At once, Ethan and Olivia's faces dropped. They looked at each other uncomfortably, the dread like fire in their eyes. There's no use beating around the bush, you two, said Dupovny. It's your time to shine. 2 go in, 1 comes out. Metaphorically speaking. He's right, said Ethan. We have to do it. I guess we gotta, Olivia murmured uncomfortably. Like it or not, now's our time. Chapter 5, Brawl to the Finish. Ethan and Olivia looked on at the diving platform, each one filled with apprehension. Enough stalling, Yevgeny barked. It's time to start the fight. Ladies first, Ethan chuckled nervously. Olivia stared blankly at him. Right, never mind then, Ethan said, rubbing the back of his neck. I was just trying to be courteous. Ethan dashed off, leaping onto the diving platform. However, he could not stick the landing and ended up collapsing onto the hard plastic surface.
It's fine, he panted. I'm okay. Just a little rough landing. I'll be fine. Your turn, Olivia, Dupovny smiled, waving her forward. I think I'll wade in, Olivia said softly. Seems like a safer bet. Come on, Dupovny said, shaking his head. Where's your sense of adventure? Instead, she inched along to the diving platform, submerged from the waist down. Eventually, she made her way over. She and Ethan reached down and grabbed their dueling sticks, all while silently refusing to look each other in the eye. Oh, you can feel the tension, laughed Dupovny. I like where this is going. Now, begin! Silence. Huh? What the? Dupovny grunted. Didn't you hear me? Start fighting! Nothing happened. Ethan and Olivia were frozen on the platform, not moving a muscle. Well, go on ahead, boy, said Olivia. Go on and knock me off, if you gotta. I guess you do. That's the challenge, after all. Sorry, can't do that, Ethan replied, sounding somewhat panicked. I could never hit a woman. Looks like you're the one that has to take home the gold. No, sorry, Olivia whimpered. I don't like hurting people. We need some action here, Dupovny barked, starting to sound angered. Nice matchup, said Lance. You picked the two people that are least likely to fight anyone. I'm surprised that you didn't expect this outcome. How are we gonna get these two swinging? Dupovny muttered, rubbing his chin. You're not, Yevgeny replied, unless you start throwing rocks at them. Not a bad idea, said Dupovny, looking down at the ground.
Yes, it is a bad idea,
Amanda shrieked, throwing her arms up in the air.
I agree,
Patsy chimed in.
That won't help anything.
Well, I think it'd be cool to see, Jeremy added. It's pretty sick, and not in the good way.
Fine, Dupovny sighed. We'll wait and see how this turns out on its own. Hope you six brought sleeping bags. Ethan and Olivia kept standing still, hardly even blinking. Finally, Ethan whispered, Okay, I have an idea. Reach your stick over and tap me on the chest. Olivia looked down at her dueling stick, her face slowly warping into a fearful expression. You can do it as gently as you want, Ethan continued. Just do it quickly, though. Mr. Dupovny is looking like he's getting pretty impatient. Olivia looked up at Ethan, then back at the stick, then up at Ethan again. You've got to do it, Olivia, said Ethan. Otherwise, we're never going to leave. Olivia, please. You can do it. Just go for it. Don't think, kersplash! Though Olivia had given Ethan a gentle nudge with the end of her dueling stick, Ethan was sent careening over the edge, creating a massive shockwave as he went down. Finally, it's over! Dupovny cheered. Lance, Amanda, don't let your fight be like that. If I catch you pulling the same punches, or lack thereof, you're gonna be sorry. You won't have to worry about that, said Lance.
What's that supposed to mean?
Asked Amanda. Lance rolled his eyes as Ethan resurfaced. I'm so sorry, cried Olivia. I went as gently as I could. You were great, Ethan beamed. Now let's get back to shore. Winner. Ethan and Olivia walked back onto the land. Dupovny was staring daggers at both of them. Glad that's done, he growled. Last and hopefully not least, we have Lance and Amanda. No way I'm wading in, said Lance. This suit is too expensive to get river water on it.
You'll be covered in it soon,
said Amanda in a playful tone.
Why delay the inevitable?
I can't tell if you're being facetious or not, Lance replied. Either way, I'm going to keep this thing as clean as possible. Lance walked back a sizable way, then dashed over to the platform. He soared through the air for a moment before landing in the center in a dynamic pose.
You've got some stiff competition,
said Grace.
Don't count me out just yet,
Amanda grinned.
Something tells me I'll have the upper hand in this fight.
Is that something you? Yevgeny sneered. Amanda tilted her head up, then ran at the platform. Her top half made it on, while her bottom half landed right into the river.
Not how I envisioned that,
she grunted as she pulled herself up.
Look,
Jeremy laughed.
She wet her pants.
Maybe that'd be funny if we were still in first grade,
said Grace.
Heck, I doubt that'd even be funny then.
Snob, Jeremy scoffed. Lance handed Amanda a dueling stick and the two shook hands.
I'm so glad that you know the classy way of beginning a civilized duel.
Amanda grinned.
I've never been so happy in all my life,
Lance sneered. Let the match begin,
Don't take it easy on me just because I'm a woman,
said Amanda.
I want to be given an equal chance. Don't treat me like Ethan treated Olivia.
Before Amanda could finish, Lance swung the dueling stick straight into Amanda's side. He swung once more, but Amanda blocked. Don't worry, said Lance. That wasn't really on my agenda. Now this is a fight, Dupovny beamed. Amanda and Lance clashed sticks several times, ending with a struggling match between the two.
Give up!
Amanda bellowed.
You can't win!
Actually, you're the one who can't win, Lance snapped back. You've made a fatal flaw in this fight.
Amanda looked on, confused.
You see, Lance continued, you're putting all of your weight on your right foot. So if I were to say, do this,
Lance swept Amanda's right foot, causing her to lose balance and fall right into the river.
You would fall right off the edge, thus losing the match.
To think I thought you were civilized!
Amanda groaned.
Did anyone ever teach you how to treat a lady?
Indeed someone did,
Lance said with a smile.
That person was you asking me to treat you as a combative equal.
Oh, I see,
said Amanda, no longer upset.
I guess I need to be careful what I wish for. Joke's on you, though. How are you going to get back to shore without getting wet?
Lance looked up, stunned. For once, his head was empty. Not a single idea came to him. Getting back to land without getting any drops of water on him was going to be quite the difficult puzzle. I'll think of something, he said quietly. He did his best to sound confident, but couldn't help but notice the quiver in his voice. His eyes darted around. All he could find were the dueling sticks.
It's a long shot, but I guess it's all I've got.
Lance grabbed one of the dueling sticks and stuck it in the water. Sure enough, it gave him just enough room to stand on it without getting his shoe wet. He moved it a little more forward, then pounded it as hard as he could into the soft river floor below.
What in the world is he doing?
Asked Grace. I have no idea, Yevgeny answered. Lance jumped onto the stick, which quivered under the sudden impact of his weight. He only stayed on for a split second before jumping off of it and onto the edge of the land. After climbing up, Lance dusted himself off. A little bit of dirt, but nothing too bad, he said while rejoining the others. Easily removable. Crisis averted, Dupovny chuckled. Now Yevgeny, Grace, Olivia, and Lance, it's time for your prize. Please follow me. You losers come too. I want to see your faces when you see what you missed out on. Dupovny led the 8 housemates out to the front of the house. In front of it was a large SUV. Though it looked somewhat old, it seemed to be in peak condition. The 4 of you will be receiving your keys to this beauty tomorrow. Y'all have your driver's licenses, right?
I don't,
Jeremy exclaimed. Doesn't matter, said Dupovny. You lost. You don't get to drive this. How's about you 4? The 4 winners nodded their heads. Excellent, Dupovny exclaimed. Your keys will be arriving tomorrow like I said. Full driving privileges are yours. This thing seats up to 7, so if y'all ever want to go on some kind of grand road trip, someone's gotta sit in the trunk.
Cool,
said Jeremy, flashing a thumbs up. Well, our first outing has come to a close, Dupovny said, tipping an imaginary hat. I'll best be going. I hope I was able to show y'all what it's gonna be like on this show from now on. If it's too much for you, drop out any time. Just know that if you do, everything you've worked for will be all for naught. Have fun. Oh, and I'd take showers if I were you. Who knows what kind of stuff's living in that there river.
8 people, 1 shower,
Grace said grimly.
Reminds me of home. How is this gonna work?
Asked Patsy. Oh, I say ladies first, said Ethan.
Oh, then me first,
cried Patsy.
Sure, whatever,
said Jeremy.
I don't need a shower. You guys can go ahead, though.
What do you mean you don't need a shower? Asked Ethan. Didn't you hear what Mr. Dupovny said?
Yeah, but I'm good,
Jeremy replied.
I take a shower once a week, so I'm not due for another day.
Wait a minute, Lance interjected. Is that what that awful smell was?
Ew!
Patsy shrieked.
I can't believe I sat next to you on that couch, cried Grace.
He won't be sitting on that anymore until he cleans himself, said Yevgeny.
Don't be such prudes, Jeremy groaned. When you take one shower, you get all dirty immediately anyways, so you gotta take another and another and another. The way I'm doing it, I'm conserving water.
That's not the way to do it.
Amanda said, looking sickly pale. Duchovny was enjoying this display. He wanted to stick around to watch it. However, duty called. The job of a host is never truly done. While the others were still bickering, Duchovny slunk away back to the limo. When Duchovny stepped through the door of the headquarters, he was greeted by the sound of rampant discussion. The writer's room's lights were on. Writers' meeting, Duchovny smiled. Glad to see those folks hard at work. Not wasting any time, Duchovny strode over to the door of the writer's room and burst right in. Immediately, all discussion ceased so that everyone could look right at Duchovny. His presence visibly intimidated the 3 men and 2 women surrounding the whiteboard. Did my notes come in handy? Duchovny asked with a smile. Yes, sir, one of the men said. We were just discussing how we could apply them to the show. Have you thought of anything? Said Duchovny, walking further into the room.
Not yet, sir, one of the women said. We can't quite agree on what to do here.
Well, you gotta settle on something, said Duchovny. This show is like a machine. All parts work together for a common goal whether they realize it or not. Like every machine, all the parts need to be working together in order to meet this goal. If not, then the whole thing falls apart. You gotta go the extra mile for a project like this. Like, take Patrick, for example. He up and moved to Beverly, Kansas for this show. That's real dedication. He proved that he's an integral part of this machine. Be more like Patrick, folks. Don't let yourself get swept up in your egos. The others looked on at each other, slowly nodding. Not necessarily out of agreement, more so out of fear. Whatever Duchovny says, goes. All right then, said Duchovny. Since we're all a little new at this, why don't I help you out? If we're going to be throwing a wrench into this game soon, you may as well get the host involved. I know them better than anyone else here, so I'll be the one who would know how to cause the most damage. Maybe we could get to know them a little bit more ourselves, one of the other men said. Each of them recorded a confessional reflecting on their experience thus far. Maybe we should watch those first. Duchovny gave a wide, toothy grin. Good thinking. Pull them up. Patsy.
Here I am, one step closer to finding my happily ever after. I hope it happens soon. I'm so excited. Okay, Patsy, focus, focus. All right. Everyone here seems super nice. I think we're all gonna get along so well. Yes, even Jeremy. He might take a little longer to come around, though.
Grace.
This show is everything I was hoping for and more. Did you see me out there? Pow, wham, smack, and then she just fell in. Boom! Glad she wasn't hurt, of course. Still, wow, I've never done anything like that before. Joining the show was the best decision I've ever made. I can't wait for the next challenge. I wish it wasn't in 3 days. I wish it was tomorrow. Woo!
Lance. As I expected, this is not the most intellectually stimulating show. Even so, it's always best to look on the bright side of things. That gives me more of the ability to stand out from the crowd and make my mark. If anyone influential is watching out there, stay tuned. I'm about to show you exactly what I'm made of. Yevgeny. The challenge today was very simple. That weak little Jeremy had no chance. Judging by today's results, the game is mine to lose. But I will not lose. I will win. I can promise you that. I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to win. If I make friends here, fine, that is a good bonus. But I cannot forget what is at stake. Olivia.
It's not that I regret coming out here or anything. It's just that it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. I'm already here though, so quitting ain't gonna do me any favors. What's best for me is to stick with it. I came here to expand my circles, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I just may need a little more time than I first expected.
Amanda.
Sure, the others here don't seem to share my exact worldview, but that's okay. I'll enlighten them in due time. If I don't, I guess it's their loss. What a diverse group we have here, though. Such different backgrounds and personalities. It's a menagerie of exotic people. And Jeremy. I wonder what the next challenge is going to bring. Let's hope it's more sophisticated than whacking people with padded sticks.
Ethan. The others are all great. I can't wait to get to know them better. I'm sure we're going to be great friends and go on all kinds of swell adventures. Once again, I want to say hi to my family back home and an extra special how do you do to Emily. Knowing you guys are rooting for me back home is what'll be keeping me going. That and our Heavenly Father, of course. Jeremy.
I don't know what everyone's problem is with me not taking a shower. They even had me go last so that I wouldn't stink up the confessional or something. Either way, I'm not changing for nobody. You know why? Because I'm a somebody. Does anyone here have themselves a movie deal with a star-studded cast? No, I didn't think so. Anyways, the chicks here are sweet, huh? Can't wait to see which one I end up with. I can't decide. They're all so hot, man.
That gives us some good material to work with, said Dupovny. All right, everyone, let me hear your ideas. Don't be shy. There are no bad ideas here. We'll need as many as we can get. This is where the real fun begins. The end.